Hi, I'm Phyllis from the Doll Corner, and welcome to my channel. And today I have a question. Well, I've had a question asked me several times. Can I teach myself to sew? Well, that all depends. Do you have some patience? And are you consistent? And do you have a seam ripper? This is one of the most important things, is the seam ripper. Yes, I feel that anybody that wants to can learn to sew. You need a sewing machine. It doesn't have to be an expensive one. It can be an old one. I have an old treadle machine that I use once in a while just for the fun of it because I enjoy sewing on it. This one is 25 plus years old, and it has done a wonderful job for me. But it has a few problems now that I can't fix, but I still can sew on it, so there I go. So what you need to do when you start out sewing is read the sewing machine manual. Don't get a machine at a yard sale without a manual. If they have one for sale, maybe you can get it online, a manual, I don't know. But you probably could. But there's so many little details in that manual that a lot of people don't read, but they really should. So you sit down in front of a machine and you want to thread it. Well, I'm not going to show you how to thread mine because they're all a little bit different and it might just confuse you. So get your manual out and they will show you how to do it. It will show you how to do it. But one thing, when you read this, and I haven't seen a manual without it in. Now, I'm not saying there isn't, but always raise your pressure foot before you start to thread your machine. And I'll tell you why. See, the red thread is in the top. The white I have in the bobbin. So see how easy that comes through? It just keeps flowing out. You put the pressure foot down and it does, you have to tug on it to get it to move. And that's because when this is up, when the pressure foot is up, the tensions are open to get and the thread will slip into them quite easily. When you put it down, they close, and that's why it's harder to pull this. Once you have it all threaded except the needle, put your pressure foot down. Now, when you go to thread your needle, put something light behind it, and that'll show up the hole. And I have just a little piece of fabric, but I usually have a little piece of cardboard here that I just hold in there. But this works. It shows your needle up. And then after I get it all done, the reason, if you don't put your pressure foot up when you're threading your needle, you will get a bird's nest on where you start to sew. So when I like to start off, I start about 1/8 of an inch in from the edge of my fabric. If I don't, I'll get the needle often pushes out down the edge into the where the needle goes, and then that can be difficult to get that snarly mess out of there. So if you come down about 1/8 of an inch, take a stitch or two, and then reverse it and go right up to the edge. And then, now what I am watching is along this edge here. I don't watch my needle. I watch the edge of my pressure foot, or the edge that or this edge. I could have it against here, but I'm watching this edge, and it's my fabric is not straight. So we'll hope. Then if you get used to putting a little piece of fabric under, then when you're ready to sew again, it's ready to go. I think I've got that pretty straight. It's a lot straighter than my edge of my fabric. So say I want to sew another line. I bring it over to the edge. See, this is just a piece of tape that I can move anywhere that I want. If I wanted it wider, 2-inch seam or something, I move it over. Let's see. Or someplace else I could watch. If I wanted to watch just right in there, or in there, or right in the center, but I don't watch my needle. And take some scraps of fabric and just play with it. See how I have worked with this one? And this is another one that until you get them, feel that they're fairly straight. And then I had a little piece here. If you want to sew a curve, that's easy to do. You just can't go quite as fast usually. I'm going to hold that thread. And then just put your needle down when you want to change directions. Sometimes depending on the curve. I'm not hitting my line. But I'm getting a curve. See, I didn't follow my line. We'll try see if I can do better this time. I'm not sitting straight. My excuse is I'm not sitting straight because of my light and my camera. I'm sort of so I'm getting a little better. Try one more time. I was going too fast. But those are 2 or 3 little tips that you will find that should help your sewing. But if you just keep practicing, take an old rag of some kind, part of an old shirt, or unless you have some little scraps like I do. But don't just go out and buy a bunch of fabric and sew lines on it. You can, work on them like this. So I hope that's helpful. But remember, raise your pressure foot, line it up on something, and don't watch your needle. And that should work for you. But the answer is yes, you should be able to teach yourself to sew. There are a lot of YouTube channels out there that has all kinds of great tips and tricks to teach you, and I'll come back with a few more tips and tricks for you. Thanks for watching. Bye now.